bring it on. I mean, I see 4 battlefield raptors. I'm already
Yes,
enthusiastic. I see 16 lands, which makes me very happy in general. So
definitely.
give it to me.
I see that some cards probably shouldn't be there, but I put them anyway. But so I think that this is not the green-white deck as you should build it, but sometimes it may come together. And the idea is this is boggles. You play your turn one raptor. That's why you want to have as many of them as possible.
Right?
And then you start putting enchantment on it. So you can put the arachnoform that gives +2/+2 and reach. The reach is inconsequential, but that means that from turn 2 you start attacking for 3.
Right?
And the game will finish quite early if you do that. Then you have some runes, you have some equipment, and the most important card, except for the raptor, is the how is it called? Snake skin well.
Snakeskin well. Let me. Where is it? Oh, here it is.
It's yeah.
To a creature
So
you
this is
control.
basically this is your boggle part. This is the thing that gives it hexproof, so you can make your raptor survive. And also because it gives hexproof and not protection like the Feat of Resistance, and it doesn't make any of the auras fall down from it.
Yep.
So you basically want to make the raptor as big as possible early, and then you want to keep up the green mana to protect it from any removal that the opponents might play on it. Now, first aura you play on it gives it 4 toughness, which means that quite a lot of removal doesn't touch it anymore. You cannot use the black one that gives -3/3. You cannot use the frostbite. The next one next thing that you put on it brings it to 5 or 6, which means that you cannot even demon bolt it. So only hard removal works on it, and then the options of the opponent are quite limited. And this is the plan. You basically put a big raptor very quickly, protect it, and start smashing in the sky. And because it's first strike and big, it will kill most of the other flyers. And then maybe you can finish the game with something like Kaya's Onslaught that gives it double strike and just deals the last 8 to 10 damage based on this. Because you play your creatures early, this is clearly a tempo deck. And in this deck, the Iron Verdict, the 3 mana deal 5 to a tapped creature is just insane. Because you don't block, so they will attack you, and therefore will tap their creatures. And then you can kill whatever is there for 3 mana or 1 mana if you foretold it before, which is great. And there is not much philosophy about it. It's just that this deck will probably not be very easy to build because you need probably 4 raptors
R-
and you need
right. It's especially the raptors and the veils that are
yeah
the main ingredient, right? And most of the rest is
yeah. But so I have this is one of my favorite type of archetypes in the previous formats, and I had 2 of them before. In Zendikar Rising, I was a big fan of the hyper-aggressive red-green landfall deck. And it came together for me like 3 times, but all 3 times I 7'd something with them. So that's pretty good. And that one was based on playing 4 Akum Hellhounds, or close to that number, as many Brushfire elementals as I could. And basically it was turn 1 drop the Hellhound, turn 2 drop the Brushfire elemental attack, turn 3 drop a land. If I'm so lucky to get a Rolling Regrowth, play Rolling Regrowth, and then smash for like obscene amount of damage, and then at the end of the game just burn them out with some kind of Royal Eruption or something like that. This deck was super potent because it plays all the threats early, and then in the later game you can focus on protecting your threats and dealing with their threats while you don't have to tap that often. So whatever you have at instant is super powerful at that time.
right, right.
And the second
I did find, however, that as soon as you stop dropping lands on the board, you sort of lost the
but
game, right?
that's why
Which is a downside that's not here in this white green deck.
I
Actually,
played 18, 19 lands in a deck that had everything that was basically costing 1 to 3 mana.
fair enough.
So because I don't care if I end with 3 lands in my hand at the end of the game, because I kill them at turn 5, 6.
No,
So
fair.
this is a price that I pay for making sure that my things work. And I played things like the tectonic cleansing or something like that. It was that you sacrifice a land and you put another land into play, and
And you
you know
drew a
it
card.
very quickly became, yeah, exactly, and it very quickly became something that they couldn't cope with, and the deck worked. The only problem is that you had to realize that the Akum Hellhounds are wheeling, and
Right.
then when the Akum Hellhounds are wheeling, if there's Brushfire Elementals open, you will get them. But it was a very successful archetype for me in that format.
And this is
And
similar.
the second one was, this is very similar. And the second one was red blue in Terrors Beyond Death, where I basically played 2-drops, a lot of 2-drops, and then once I hit 3 mana, I played up to 6 counter spells in it. So and I played the Vexing Gulls, and I played the Thirst for Meaning, which was the draw 3, discard, and enchantment. So basically, I always played the 2-drop. Most of the time I played something like a 3-drop, and then I just kept myself untapped all the time. And if they played something that was threatening me, I countered. If they didn't, I played the Vexing Gull or drew 3 cards and discarded something. So again, all my threats are appearing in the first turns of the game, and later I'm just like sitting down and smashing them for 2-4 damage, and if they don't deal with those things, that they cannot win. And it was also pretty successful. I think I had like 75% win rate with that, and I played it quite a lot. It was helped because some of those drafts were with bots, and you could get reliably into that archetype with bots.
Right.
That was based on what Kyle Rose was doing as well at that time.
But if we look at the cards within this list, right? I think the only card that is actually accepted as being a strong card, and we might see that when we move over to the tier list a bit, but I think actually Raptor is the only card here that you might have to fight for, right? And of course stuff like Rune and the Runes and the Iron Verdicts, but those are not necessary to make this deck successful. I think nobody's picking up Snakeskin Veil. I think you might pick up those cards on the wheels.
Snakeskin Veil is a good card. I mean, Blossoming Defense was a great card, and this is better. Because it leaves a permanent +1/+1 counter on your creatures.
Right, and Blossoming Defense was the same thing, but then +2/+2 hexproof, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Which was a better combat trick, I think, but less good card for the long.
Yeah.
I agree.
So yeah, no, I don't think that you're going to fight for those cards particularly voraciously with someone else, and also lots of them are replaceable. It's just the problem that the Battlefield Raptor is not really replaceable.
Correct. You need a 1-mana flyer.
And this is the problem. And also, I mean, opening 4 in one draft is not going to happen a lot. It's
a rare occurrence in itself. Yeah.
You basically happen in this deck when you start wheeling the Battlefield Raptors. When you start wheeling them, you know that they're going to whatever is open in that deck, you're going in that pod, you're going to take them, and then you can start thinking about it. But you know, it's not terrible if you don't get there, because you can still go on some kind of a go wide white green theme, which I think is going to be possible. And then even if you don't get the Raptors, you can have the Raven Wings, which give flying to your creature, and you can make your flying boggles like this.
Yep.
And if you get enough of the hexproof stuff, it should be enough for you to win. Iron Verdict is a card that I think you might be fighting for in this particular archetype.
Right, but it's not like so you were talking
I think
about.
It's quite important.
You were talking about Iron Verdict a couple of seconds ago, but basically when you're racing with someone, you're winning with this deck, right? There are not a lot of decks that are going to deal more damage than you are in the first 3-4 turns.
No, that's true. They will be on the back foot instantly.
And as you mentioned, Iron Verdict is only useful if they start attacking you back, right? And in that scenario, we're winning anyway, I feel. Like, is there a need for us to kill their creatures then at that point in time?
Well, I think sometimes that there is, because flying creatures, even if we play the 3/4 Raptor, they can play a couple of 3/2s and start smashing you with that. And then if you remove one of them, the point is that you have to carefully select what you want to remove and when.
Yeah.
And if you do it, then you should be fine.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's a bad card, right? I think it's a fine card, but I don't think it's at the point where it's necessary to get this deck together.
I'm afraid I have to stand up and open the door for my cat. 'cause
No
it's
worries, do
meowing.
so. What else do we have here? Spectral Steel, +2/+2. Exile from the graveyard, return on the target RR equipment card. That's great with Rune of Sustenance, right? You can get your draw off again, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly why it's there. Yeah.
Oh, you could hear
So
me.
my
You have
cat-
a wireless headset.
Oh yeah,
That's freaking awesome. Okay, I was more talking to the general, but indeed, Spectral Steel is a very nice include. Hey, there's the Ruined Crown.
yeah.
Search your library, hand or
This card
graveyard
is
for
great.
rune cards.
I mean,
It is, it is. What's the green rune doing? We don't get it
it's
here, right?
+1/+1 trample.
Oh, right, that's a fine card. Is that for 2 mana as well? And does it include a draw as well?
And a draw. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
You know, the problem in this deck that if you draw your rune first, the crown is pretty useless.
Right.
Because you put it, most likely you put your rune on the raptor, and then it's hard to lose it. And you also don't want to lose it.
Right.
But you know, if that's the worst things in the case scenario, that's fine.
That's fine.
You can still keep your crown. If they kill your raptor, you get back the rune, and you draw an extra card, which is great.
Yeah, no, definitely. Of course, there's the Packmate, which is a great include in any green deck, basically.
Yeah.
Doesn't really fit the team here, but it's just too good to pass up on.
It doesn't have to. That doesn't have to.
Right. The Valkyrie. Yeah, go ahead.
It's a speed bump, basically. It draws a card and it at least takes care of one blocker. And you can play it with Foretell, so you can actually keep up this 1 green mana to protect your raptor. That hopefully is bigger.
Right, right. So what do we think?
Rare here.
Oh yeah, good. I was looking. I was looking at the Valkyrie, and I found the exile creature from your graveyard class rather interesting. It mainly helps you double spell, right?
2, but my thought about it is I play turn 1 raptor, they bolted, I play the Valkyrie.
Right. Oh yeah, that's a line that I can behind. But I think in most of the cases, this is a play that you make turn 4 or later anyway, right? At a point.
But I think that the Valkyrie is particularly good with the with 1-drops if they manage to kill them somehow.
Yeah, right. Because then you can run it out on turn 2. I agree. Okay. You want to talk to you wanted to talk about the rare, right? The Toski.
Well, you can pick any rare in this deck again. You could pick one of the good white flyers. There's the 2/4. There's the 3/3 mythic flyer for 3 mana.
No way. Our German listener is saying, a German viewer is saying goodbye here. Danke schön.
Ja, bis bald.
Bis bald. Tschüss. Vielen Dank. Okay, yeah, go on. Thanks for joining.
So Toski, I think it is particularly good with 4 raptors because they will go in and draw you a bunch of cards, and it's 1/1 indestructible that they will have to also start blocking. You can pump it with aura, it's indestructible. I think it's great in this deck because it's not expensive, but it's hard to get rid of and actually fits with the plan of the deck, unlike some cards that I put in here just because of the raw power.
Right, I like it.
But of course, I can imagine like any good aggressive rare is going to be fine in here.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. Of course, there's the Maya, which I like. Card got it's a good card, right? It got a bad rep though. I saw it getting a bad rep from quite some prominent people.
Prominent people, prominent people are wrong on occasions. I think it's you see, unlike the blue-black uncommon, at least it does what the color wants to do. I'm not completely sure that the green-white has the right tools to be go wide, but it wants to be at least. Maybe the payoffs are not good enough, but at least it's a consistently deck that wants to go wide. So I'm quite happy with it, and you know, when it sits on the board and they don't kill it, it really is a big boost if your things become 4 toughness all of a sudden.
Is this a 6-drop like the Scuttle Crab was in Zendikar? Like what was the beetle called again that multiplied when you?
I think that's the main problem in this deck. I think it is a 6-drop, and not only because its landfall ability is useful, but also because you want to drop that. You want to protect it with that snakeskin will.
Right, you want to kill it and keep the veil up. Yeah. Fully agree.
And I don't know, I shouldn't put the cat here, but I just like the cat too much. It should be something else, honestly. I mean, there can be so many other creatures that, or auras that. I think that the silly +1/+1 when their creature dies, you get a 1/1 spirit flyer is actually pretty good in here. I don't think you need the 3/6 vigilance because that's not your plan. I was just probably not thinking straight about putting it. Just like the card too much, but you can still play it.
At the same time, though, if there's a creature you let's say you're in this situation where you would like to have a creature stay back untapped as a blocker, I think the Godsar Guardian is.
This thing is going to attack every single turn,
it's going to attack, but it's also staying back untapped, right? It's
exactly.
the blocker to have in a deck like this, I think. Where it's
imagine being 5/8 because I put some silly aura on it, or putting lifelink on it with the equipment. I think that it will do some serious damage. Yeah.
Agree. I think it's a good card overall, right?
Yeah, I just don't think it fits so well on the curve here because you want to do things on turn 2, and
agree.
This is more like foretell it on turn 3 and then maybe play it on turn 5, which is slightly slower because you keep the 1 mana open for at least pretending that you have your trick.
Yeah, no, agree.
All right.
Cool deck.
I think that,
I like it.
Yeah, and this is not the only build that you can get from white-green by any means, but I think that this is the fun one, at least. It's not going to come together often, but it's going to be surprisingly strong, I think. And people will not be, at least in the beginning of the format, they will not be on it. And I think that they will not be prepared to play against it as well. And if you don't know how to play against those kind of early drops, later responses, build style, you can win many games just by doing your thing because you know your plan and they don't know yours.
No, I like it a lot. For sure. Looking at the color pair, I think we see a similar curve here, right? A bit more common 6 drops due to the addition of green, of course, instead of the red.
Yeah, but
to be expected.
But what is good in here is that there are really good 1-drops. Yeah. Because they are not only 1-drops, they are good 1-drops. Except for the green one. The green elf is just rubbish in this format and in this particular archetype. But both the white 1-drops are really good.
Yeah, correct. Both the cleric and the raptor are very playable, especially in combined, right? I think the raptor into the cleric is a very fine turn 1, turn 2. Even though you might be lacking a mana at that point.
Well, hopefully you can play the second raptor and boost the first one, start smashing. That's the way we play.
That's the dream.
And leave the cleric as a speed bump for power creature that they will deploy somewhere later.
Yeah, agree.
But,
agree.
You would pay 1 mana for put a +1/+1 counter, gains 4 life.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure. Looking at the tier score, I mean, most of the comments we've seen by now, right? We've seen the Packbait Beast, the Raptor, actually, according to Alex, being the second best common in white, which I think is fair, right?
I mean, I told you that I built the skeleton based on conversation with Alex. I think he thinks in a similar way about the Raptor aggro. We just didn't come to the decision which deck would be the best home for it. I think it's green because of the hexproof trick.
Right.
Which I think is super essential for it.
Yeah. But still, I think the deck that you showed, the red-white one with the heavy equipment, still a great card, right?
Perfectly well.
Yeah.
And I think it also can find a decent home in the black-white double spelling because it costs 1 mana. It's great.
Yeah, fair enough. Card that we haven't seen much of is the Oracle, right? Which is probably more of a
Mm.
Zorius card.
I think it is an Azorius card, although it's probably not bad either in the double spelling thing, because you can foretell it on turn 2, play your 1/1 Berserker, and then play this one, and then you have a 3/3 Berserker and a 3/2. It's great on
Right,
turn 3.
right. And those are specifically the two white archetypes that we haven't looked at, right? So
Yeah.
haven't seen. Yeah, like when I look at the green commons here, the green commons that we are using in this deck, uh, they it's exactly as we mentioned, right? Those are not high picks. There are so many green commons that at least Alex rates higher than our Phil, or as high at least, right? So I seriously think this card is a wheeler.
And again, as I told you that lots of those things in this particular deck are so replaceable, because if you play the +2/+2 and reach, or you play the +1/+1 leaves the spirit behind, it's not such a big difference.
Nope.
There is the uncommon that brings the auras back if it goes into the graveyard when you exile it. That's also great in that deck. We didn't dwell on that card, but I don't think it's going to be a super high pick.
No, fair enough.
There's plenty of equipment, which is also great. So yeah, I think that it's relatively easy to get most of the stuff. It's just the important stuff that is going to be tricky.
Due to the way you build it, we didn't really get to talk about the uncommon one, the green-white one, which is
I think it's a great one.
Yeah, first 2 chapters put a +1/+1 counter on up to 1 target creature, and then the final chapter is exile a creature with the greatest power among creatures target opponent controls. It's a fine card, right? It fits in the deck. Right.
Yeah, I would play it in here, but it just like I decided to go for a cheaper version, like with maybe you could replace the cat with it easily.
Right.
Because it removes the big attacker at the end, also makes your opponent play slightly different. Because when you think about it, when you put the early pressure with the raptor, they have to start attacking because you will kill them first. But they don't want to play their biggest thing into this when it's on the board, so they will have to make some kind of shenanigans.
Yeah.
And your raptor grows while you do it.
I think this is a very interesting card to play around and to play with.
I think that it's undervalued for now, at least. I don't know what Alex for sure evaluated it properly. Do you have B-?
B-, yeah.
I think it's B-, B range, yeah.
I think the sweet play here is putting a +1/+1 counter on a creature of your opponent that you actually want to kill, right? Is that something that you see happening?
I see it happening. I just choke on my tea. I see it happening, but I hopefully won't be doing that. I'd rather be the attacking person, and I don't care if they get a counter. I just want to kill one thing, and I don't care what it is.
Fair enough. Anything else you want to talk about in white green?
Well, I mean, it would be nice to get a skeleton for the actual white green as I imagine it. But I think that it will be more 17 land card deck, because you would want to play those 4 mana elves that bring another elf, and you want to really go wide with them. Maybe you get some token synergies and things like that.
Yeah, you probably want the 2/1s that leave a body behind, stuff that.
And I think that I wouldn't use it in this build, but I think that in the actual how you want to play your so how I want to see this go wide deck is life is your really precious resource, and you will definitely have to let them attack into you, and you will lose a bunch of life to build a broad board. And I would like to play the King Harald's Revenge as a finisher, give something +7/+7 and trample, and finish the game like that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't play this. I wouldn't play this card in this build because I don't want to go wide here. I want to go 1 creature and make it Voltron.
Right.
So
agree.
It wouldn't play well.
Agree.
But I can see that the combat tricks in white green are going to be. Imagine playing the King's Harald Revenge, getting something +5/+5 and trample, and then attacking and giving it +1/+1 double strike. Like very few decks will survive that, and it's just 2 cards, and the rest is just to play creatures. So there's no philosophy in there.
Right.
I think it can be in best of 1, it can be a very potent strategy. I don't think it's going to be great in best of free as much because you will not have the same smoothing of your land draws, and it won't be as surprising when you play it in the second game.
Right.
But in best of one, I think it's going to be quite strong.
Yeah.
I'm looking more to white green than to white red this time.